You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
From 37 to send Washington to the Final Eight. The Washington Commanders off the upright, and it is in! They doink their way to the divisional round! Unbelievable!
I have seen it all now. I even get a divisional doink. I feel like every time I see a game-winning field goal, it's hitting an upright.
Oh, the humanity! Oh, I feel your pain, Bucks. I feel your pain. Good morning, everybody. Just about a couple minutes late today. Some technical issues, but we're here. Welcome, everybody, to the Pete Sheppard Show. Here on a Monday, a magnificent Monday. It's January 13th, not Friday the 13th, Monday the 13th. Lots to get into today. NFL playoff action and a whole lot more. Let's get it going. Happy Monday, everybody. Oh, those of you who didn't stay up to see the finish of last night's game between the Buccaneers and the Washington Commanders, you missed the best game of the playoffs so far because, for the most part, it wasn't really an exciting weekend of NFL action. People complained about the college football playoff and a lot of blowouts, but there was not a lot of, real great moments in the NFL playoffs this weekend. But last night's game was absolutely outstanding. And unfortunately for the Buccaneers and a lot of people here in Southwest Florida, very disappointed today as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose at the buzzer 23-20. Good morning. This is the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Monday, January 13th. Thanks for following us on the Coastal Sports Network and across the video platform. Follow me at pshep326 on X and Twitter. You can also follow me across a plethora of Facebook pages as well. On my Facebook page, on Tampa Joe's, on the Coastal Sports Network Facebook page. SR1029 The Game is the app. That's what you want to do if you're in your car or you can't watch the video. SR1029thegame.com. CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and you can text the show and call 727-858-6650. Again, Angel Martinez is under the weather today, so he will not be on with me today. So no video, but lots of audio, but that's okay. Bill Burt's going to join me at 8:30, my lone guest. Usually don't have a lot of guests on Mondays, but this one's going to make an exception because the New England Patriots got their guy yesterday in Mike Vrabel. Going to have lots of reaction from people on the NFL Network, on ESPN yesterday when the story broke from Adam Schefter. No surprise at all. Patriots got their guy. I am very excited. My man Otis, who gave me this hat, this Patriots military hat, so I felt it fitting to wear it today. And this is not a Baylor shirt. This is my one of my Bishop Hendricken High School golf shirts that I had. Not because it was on the golf team, because it was given to me as a gift for whatever reason, back in the day. Anyway, thanks everybody for checking us out. What an exciting weekend. And again, we're going to got all the Mike Vrabel stuff for you. Lots of reaction, but you got to start with what happened last night in Tampa, 23-20, the doink. I mean, the doink off the upright and in. You just heard how it sounded on NBC last night with Mike Tirico. But here's how it sounded on the Washington Commanders radio network. Hang on, I think this is it. Yes.
Guy's got 105 touchdowns, ninth all-time in the NFL history in terms of the ball's down. Mayfield lost it, and Washington pulled it away. Let's go!
It's all about the snap count. Is it there in time? Do you have time? That timing of that play is so important, and he just could not get it there.
Fumbling has been a problem for Mayfield this year. He's credited with that fumble, the last to possess the ball, tied for the most in the league. The first turnover of the game.
Yeah, that's my bad, but we'll get to the call from the Commanders in a second. That was a big play in the game. Obviously late, the jet sweep to McMillan coming around, and that's on Baker Mayfield. He talked about it after the game.
The situation down there in the fumble, just describe it. Was a jet sweep that Jalen was too far by you, or just what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to me, just timing it up correctly. First one all year that happened on, so obviously timing of it not great, being backed up. Defense had just done a hell of a job getting us the ball. Another fourth down stop, and yeah, unfortunate, but that falls on me.
First, by the way, first quarterback in NFL playoff history complete 80% of his passes, which he was 15 of 18, with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, and lose a game. That was a huge fumble right there. But here is how the call sounded last night at the end. It led to the game-winning field goal. This was without a doubt the best game of the weekend, of the NFL wildcard weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. But here's how it sounded. The Commanders' call on Zane Gonzalez's game-winning field goal.
Zane Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit!
And Zane Gonzalez kicks in the door and kicks us into the second round of the playoffs!
Oh my goodness, yes, and they should be very excited. What a day! Jaden was outstanding yesterday. He did not look like a rookie at all. 24 of 35, 268 yards, a couple of touchdowns, some really key plays down the stretch as well. Not only passing, but running the football. We'll just play a couple of them for you right now. Here's one, the one to, and again, you got to forgive me today if I'm a little. It's going to take me a little more time here as I get to get set up because Angel is not here. So just give me a second here because I want to make sure we get these in the right order. All right, here's this is unbelievable. This is a great play in the fourth quarter. The game tied at 20. This is one of the great plays that the Commanders pulled off. It was nearly a pick that led to the game-winning field goal.
2nd and 10 for Daniels. The rookie will flip it out over Diaby and caught by Eckler into field goal range. Eckler to the 27-yard line. Oh, that was so close to Diaby, but it's a gain of 18.
Yeah, Diaby, give him credit. He saw the late receiver coming across the field, but there he is, Austin Eckler. They felt like that he was going to be in many ways the key to the game, and in the biggest moment, he was.
Timeout, Tampa Bay, Chris. We were talking in the break. When are they going to take him?
Yeah, that was a huge play in the game. Dan Quinn, head coach of the Commanders, after the game, talked about all the close games the Commanders have been involved in.
As a coach, you practice it a lot. Honestly, we do. But it is different in the games. And so being in a lot of those close games and not winning them all, there's a lot of lessons to take off of those. There's been a lot of Tell the Truth Mondays that we went down to the end. We talked about why it went right or why it didn't. And in that space, collectively, you can feel the belief from the team on the sideline. It's a really connected team. They believe in one another. And you have to have connection to also have belief. I think they kind of go hand in hand. And like I said, early on, we didn't know who we were. We didn't know who we were. That's not a fair thing to say. Early on, we hadn't had an identity yet. And we didn't have the belief in one another yet, meaning the opening game. And so it took a lot of work to get into that space, and this team has now bonded and connected. And in these winning time moments, they have a lot of faith.
All right, here's Jaden Daniels on the emotions as the kick doinked.
Tell us about that moment. The ball goes off the upright, goes in. What was the feeling that you felt when that first happened?
I don't know. I can't really explain it. Obviously, I'm grateful to have the opportunity. I'm happy for the fan base, the franchise, everything it's been through to get to this point. So I'll just say, I'm just grateful and happy for everybody, including myself too.
But as calm as you are, and you played the game all your life, you have those moments where you're waiting to see if this thing and you see it hit the goalpost, you still don't know until it pops through. What are you going for?
I don't know. I don't even think I smiled. I think I was looking at Charlie. He was like, we got some interviews. I don't know. Can't tell you.
All right, here's Todd Bowles after the game on his message to his team after the loss.
Todd, what was your message to the team in there?
Proud of the way they fought. Obviously, it's disappointing. We don't want the season to end like this, but we don't point fingers. We had our chances. We had our chances to win this ball game. Obviously, it wasn't good enough. We think we have a very good football team. When everybody's clicking on all cylinders, we got to be clicking on all cylinders. So the effort was outstanding. We hung together all year. We've been through some things, and we got to eat it and take it on the chin. We got to get better in the future.
Also, Todd Bowles on the struggles on defense on 3rd and 4th, and also how Jaden Daniels was just an amazing athlete.
Todd, your defense struggled to get off the field on 3rd and 4th down. You just talked about that tonight, 55% of conversions allowed combined.
That's like you said, defensively, that's where it was. He was making some plays with his feet. We'd be in position. He out-athleted us, and they did a good job on 3rd down, keeping it in 3rd and short and him making plays.
I think some of the in-routes seemed to be a little bit of a problem tonight on defense. Why do you think that was?
Well, some of them were scrambles, and we were losing our guys, and we had position. Either we didn't rush the passer the right way, and he broke the pocket. I know the last one he got on 3rd down, we had bad position from the start. We should have been in better position that way.
I mean, this came down to it was a good back and forth game a little bit. Not a lot of scoring, a little less scoring than I thought there would be, but there would be, it came very close. It probably should have gone to overtime, but it did not. The big play happened, Tampa's defense holding Washington on that, first to go inside the 5, they hold them, and they still have the lead at 17-13. And then as I just played a few minutes ago, the McMillan jet sweep, and Baker just hit him in the hip instead of hitting him in the gut. And that was a fumble, and that was huge. Washington recovers at the Bucks 13 on 4th and 2 from the 5. Jaden Daniels connected with Terry McLaurin in the back of the end zone for a 20-17 lead. It was an amazing play by Daniels. I mean, you talk about that guy does not look like a rookie at all. I'm trying to find that cut for you to play it, because it was an amazing throw, an amazing poise right there by Mr. Daniels. Let me see. Got to try to find it. No, that's the one that tied it at 20. Like I said, the actual play was huge. And let's see. Maybe we don't have it. I thought we had it. Hold on. Stand by. Yeah, stand by. Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. So a lot of times we do a great job at Total Sports Rep. They get it sometimes. Okay, here it is. Here is the play I was just talking about.
Washington takes the lead with Terry McLaurin.
They're still in their zone defenses here, but it's sort of man coverage with, like a box and one almost on the outside when McLaurin gets a little contact there, clears it. And what a football game we have here tonight. Two proud franchises who've just been great all year.
All right, that was just that was a huge play by Jaden Daniels. He was absolutely outstanding in that football game yesterday, or last night, I should say. In the end, is the Washington Commanders moving on now to take on the Detroit Lions, and that game will take place at Saturday, 8 o'clock on Fox. The other playoff games, we're going to break them all down for you. Again, nothing really overly exciting. Yesterday, Buffalo trailed 7-0 early, then scored the next 31 points and routed Denver 31-7. Philadelphia, I never thought the game was really in doubt. A little sloppy by Jalen Hurts at times. A.J. Brown only targeted 3 times in that game. We're going to dissect and analyze that game, but they handled the Packers 22-10. They move on. Washington, as we said, right at the end, beats Tampa Bay in a doink off the upright, 23-20. On Saturday, this was the shocking one. Not so much that Houston could win the game, but how they won 32-12 over the L.A. Chargers. 4 interceptions by Justin Herbert. Only 2 were his fault. 2 went right through the hands. One went through McConkey's hand, and then another one went through another defender, wide receiver's hands as well. But nevertheless, 4 picks by Justin Herbert, and they just absolutely fell apart. And Houston won 32-12. Baltimore doubled up Pittsburgh 28-14. They ran for just about 300 yards, 299 yards on the ground. They could not stop Derrick Henry. The Steelers have now lost 5 straight playoff games And an interesting thought by Jimmy Johnson, he used to work for Jerry Jones, but Jimmy Johnson during the Fox pregame show, which I'll play you the audio for. Can't play the video, but that's okay. You don't really need to see the video today. The audio for a lot of these cuts. And he had an interesting premise of, which I do think is interesting, a trading of coaches, having Mike Tomlin go to the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because it's a little stale out there. It's a little stale out there for both organizations. So I thought it was very interesting comments from there. So here's how it looks next week. Of course, Minnesota and the Rams tonight, which I will preview later on today. So coming up on Saturday at 4:30 on ABC, it's number 4 Houston at number 1 Kansas City. Then it's Saturday night, 8 o'clock. It is number 6 Washington at number 1 Detroit. Going to Sunday, 3 o'clock, the winner of the Rams-Minnesota game will play at Philadelphia. That's at 3 o'clock. And at 6:30, the game everybody's going to be tuning into. Huge game. Number 3, Baltimore at number 2, Buffalo. That should be a great one. Baltimore won pretty handily when they played in the regular season this year. But we know regular season games don't mean a whole hell of beans going into the postseason. Absolutely not. So there it is. There's your playoff picture for playoff scenario. We'll get through this many highlights and some lowlights for some of you for some of these teams. We'll get to the Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles coming up as well, and that 22-10 game. Also, low scoring, like I said, a little sloppy. But one of the huge stories, obviously, yesterday was Mike Vrabel coming to the New England Patriots as the head coach. I'm not taking any credit for it because everybody knows, I said it from last week, do not let that man out of the building. And they did not. They did not. And lots of great reaction from it, from the boys, particularly early on yesterday, right out of the gate with Teddy Bruschi. It just gave me a sense. So this is Teddy Bruschi on NFL Countdown yesterday, speaking with Greeny and Rex Ryan and the boys about Mike Vrabel taking over as head coach for the Patriots. And listen to what he says and read between the lines, people.
I think that the hiring of Gerard Mayo was viewed as a departure from that formula, from one person really being at the total apex of everything and having firm decision-making power over everything. It sounds to me like you're thinking this is a return to that.
First of all, let me say this. Gerard didn't get the chance to return to that, okay? He didn't get the chance. He didn't get that second year with all of those great things that this organization has with the cap space, the players, and the quarterback, okay? Vrabel is not Bill. I'll tell you that right now, all right? He is somewhere along that spectrum in between. I really believe that. If I were to compare Vrabel to any coaches that I've had in the past, and I played for some great ones, I would say he's more Bill Parcells-like than Bill Belichick because of the way that he can talk to players more on an even keel personal level. Okay, that's what I like about Vrabel. And I'm saying, and I'm talking about all the decision makers hoping they defer, but I think Vrabel has it in him to collaborate to a point. To a point.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. Is it going to be a dictatorship or partnership?
Yep.
That's what we're going to find out.
And I think it's okay when it's a little bit of both.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think sometimes it has to be because you're dealing with not a business. This is not a business. Okay, sure, I know the NFL's a business and there's a lot of money. But when it comes down to it, you're dealing with football players. And we are different than a lot of other people on the planet in terms of personality, mental toughness, our determination, our conviction, all of that stuff. Sometimes, like this guy,
being able
tough
to connect
deal
with the players.
Great stuff there by Teddy Bruschi, and more from him early on as soon as Adam Schefter broke the news. And listen between the lines here as well.
There's a lot on my mind that Shefty had just informed us of, and I got to say something about my former team, the New England Patriots, who have been absolutely a mess the last couple years and how they've handled things. The only way to fix this is to hire Mike Vrabel. I'm telling you right now, a coach that could come in there and doesn't just lead men, but knows how to lead football players, knows how to reach football players, and can deal with that ownership, fix the organization, Robert and Jonathan Kraft, and hire.
There you go. And Vrabel is going to take over, obviously, and he's going to have a big say in player personnel. Eric Wolf, you're going to be pushed off to the side a little bit. There's other people that are come into this organization. If you don't know what Mike Vrabel is all about, well, let me see. I found in just a couple of years ago when he was coaching Tennessee, coach of the year. Remember, he was coach of the year. He also got this team as a number one seed. Before losing to Kansas City. I mean, they were that close to going to the Super Bowl a few years ago. Mike Vrabel, though, had sat down with Bill Cowher, and at the time talked about heading into his second year as a head coach, what it's all about.
Tell me about where you are in this fourth year as opposed to where you were in your first year in terms
Fourth
of
year, I should say.
you being a more experienced and better coach.
I think the first year you think, oh man, we're going to have some great scheme and it's all about scheme. It's not about scheme. It's about, figuring out and making decisions that are best for the team, trying to gain a personal touch. It's about the players, holding each other accountable. Those are things that win, not plays. And, it's all about the players.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountability, that is going to be key. I mean, everything that Gerard Mayo failed to do, and I understand people out there would say it wasn't fair, tough shit. There was no progression there, and that is the major problem. I'm not going to go over that nonsense all over again. This is the guy that's going to come in, and I promise you, he will straighten out this team. They will be a hell of a lot better next year. You look at the close games that they've lost this year, 4 or 5 by a play or two. Guys that not trying, just the Ole defense that they had, no adjustments. He's the next step, and a lot of people believe is going to be bringing in Josh McDaniels to become the new offensive coordinator. Let me see. There's more reaction here from the guys. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here's one on Fox. Here's Rob Gronkowski on Fox yesterday talking about the hiring of Mike Vrabel.
Already, the first hiring of the offseason has happened. Your buddy Mike Vrabel, former Tennessee coach, now the new head coach in New England.
Yeah, and Jimmy, speaking about coaching changes, the New England Patriots got their guy this morning, and Patriot great Mike Vrabel. And let me tell you, Patriot fans are thrilled. This guy is going to keep everyone accountable in the organization, from the coaching staff to the players. He's going to keep himself accountable, and even the front office he's going to keep accountable. And let me tell you, once again, this guy has knowledge, he has the power, and he's going to be great. He knows how to discipline players. And if I'm Mike Vrabel, the first thing I would do is call up and dial up the number of Josh McDaniels,
Bingo.
a familiar foe to Patriot fans, and hire him as the offensive coordinator as soon as possible.
Yep, and I believe I believe that will happen. Absolutely. That's Rob Gronkowski on Fox yesterday. Let me see. There was a there was a let's see. There was a Rex Ryan comment as well, I thought, in there. But I guess not. We'll find it anyway. So Mike Vrabel's playing career with the Patriots, in case you forgot. 8 years, 3 Super Bowl titles, 606 tackles, 48 sacks, 11 interceptions, 10 career receptions. By the way, all touchdowns, including in the Super Bowl. 10 receptions, all touchdowns, and the tackle eligible, or for, I guess, linebacker eligible, whatever. Named to the Patriots 2000s All-Decade Team, named to the Patriots 50th Anniversary Team, and inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame, which at the time the Tennessee owner, who I forget her name, was all upset, blah, blah, blah. And after they traded away a bunch of his players and they decided to fire him, bad move on Tennessee's part. They really haven't been the same since he's left. And their loss is the Patriots' gain, no question about it. All right. When we come back, more reaction to Mike Vrabel being named the new head coach of the Patriots, plus more sound, post-game sound from all the NFL playoff action from over the weekend. And I'll give you Jimmy Johnson's take and an interesting theory of what he thinks the Steelers and Cowboys should make a very, very interesting trade. It's all part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Monday. Bill Burt's going to join me at 8:30. We'll discuss more in detail about the Patriots and the hiring of Mike Vrabel and assistants and what it means for Elliott Wolf from the front office, and get his thoughts as well. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Monday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit! And Giant Gonzalez kicks in the door and kicks us into the second round of the playoffs!
Hey, can you tell that wasn't the Bucks Radio Network? I can tell you that. That was the Washington Commanders Radio Network. How about Gonzalez fixing his hair? And he's got like a, sort of a Marine crew cut type of thing. Do you see Gonzalez fixing his hair? Like 3 or 4 pats as he, put his helmet back on coming up before that. But man, doinks it in and breaks the heart of all the Buccaneer fans. And I was really rooting for him too. They're kind of like my adopted team down here. Even before, I'm always a Patriot fan first and foremost, but I've always liked the Buccaneers from way back, from the Doug Williams days back in the day, because I used to feel badly for them because they were so horrible until McKay took over and they started, winning and getting to the playoffs and all that stuff. And then Mike Allstott, who I just saw recently down here in Florida doing a commercial, and he's lost weight. He does not look like the Mike Allstott that I remember. The guy would just run over people. Penguin AZ says, good morning, no pack, no. McLaurin finally has a quarterback and the Packers suck, so now it's baseball time. Ha, ha, ha. Yes. All right. It is a Pete Sheppard Show here. Thanks for checking us out here across the Coastal Sports Network video platform. No Angel Martinez today. He's not feeling very well. He had a very, very busy weekend. I'm not sure he's doing his show today at 10 o'clock. I don't believe he is, but I'm sure the other shows across the network, The Drive with Q, with Rich Quinones, which is fantastic, along with Beeves World with Jay Flannelly a little bit later on. And then Talking Hoops, I think, is on tonight as well. But keep checking on the CSN Florida on the sports app, SR, it's right up there. See it? SR1029thegame.com. Just go there, and the entire schedule is up. All right, let's continue with Mike Vrabel, and then we'll get on to some other stuff, some other comments going on around the NFL. Jimmy Johnson, an interesting proposal yesterday between the Cowboys and the Steelers. We'll get to that in a second. But just so those of you who don't know what Mike Vrabel is all about, okay, here's just one little snippet from him at a press conference a couple of years ago.
Because it sucks to lose, Gentry.
Trey, ever need to show you anything?
Did you have another thought, or no? I'm just curious.
Well,
it fucking sucks. Losing. Awful. That's why I want to win. Because you don't sleep. You want to win for the players that bust their tail. That's it.
Yeah, man. Tell you what, want to run through a wall for this guy. Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Mike Vrabel, they did the right thing. They acknowledged their mistakes, and they are going. I think Mike Vrabel is going to be huge in correcting this. And then people in the front office, your Teddy Bruschi and others, get out the way. Get out of the way. Just like Goddard did yesterday for the Eagles. At the end with that touchdown. Get out the club. Gronk did that a few years ago against the Colts. And I forget who it was, Butler, he pushed out about whatever it was. But that was a great. We'll get to that highlight in just a little bit. I want to get to more here from Mike Vrabel. Let me see, what else can I play for you? And we have Rex Ryan on the Houston Texans. He's eating a shitload of crow. A lot of people are. Houston just really bombarded them the other day on Saturday, 32-12. Let me see. I want to make sure. Oh, jeez. Let me see. I already played that. All right, we'll move on from Mike Vrabel. We'll have more with Bill Burke coming up. I think it's outstanding. Now the big question is the coordinators that are coming in. Josh McDaniels. A lot of people want Robert Saleh for former Jets head coach on defense, obviously. But the big thing is the symmetry between Vrabel and Eric Wolf. What is his position going to be? Even if they make him a de facto GM, he may have a title, but Mike Vrabel is certainly going to be able to put his thumbprint on this organization. And I promise you, if everybody stays reasonably healthy, particularly the quarterback, they will turn it around. They got the number 4 pick in the draft. They got $130 million in cap money. So I think you're going to see a significant difference in the New England Patriots next year. I'm not talking about getting back to the Super Bowl, I don't think, but certainly I am going to be stunned when it's all said and done. And with Vrabel in place now and getting the right OC and DC in there and keeping the front office in their place, Mike's going to run the team. It's that simple. And I do believe they will be back in at least playoff contention for next year. At least that, playoff contention, which means winning 9 games or so. I think they'll be back next year and more formidable than ever as long as Drake May stays healthy. We have to preamble everything along with the quarterback staying healthy. All right, let's get to what interesting premise, what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have lost 5 in a row. Mike Tomlin, it seems like it's become, you get to there's lots of teams in the playoffs that would like to get there, have a winning season, get to the playoffs every single year like the Steelers do, but they just don't win. They don't get pat. They don't win. Rich Eisen, or I should say Kyle Brandt, had this thought on NFL Network about the Steelers situation. Then we'll get to Jimmy Johnson. Maybe I should get to Jimmy. Let me get to Jimmy Johnson first, because this, I think, was very fascinating to me, that he brought this up on the pregame show. And I usually don't watch the Fox pregame show. I usually don't watch the pregame shows, but I had this on yesterday. And right when they were talking about this, because the Bills game had ended, so I switched over to Fox for the pregame. And here's Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson and company talking about what's going on in Pittsburgh and Dallas.
Houston, I can't get over the game last night when you saw the Baltimore Ravens beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers now lost 5 straight games. I mean, that's just unheard of. Defense was horrible. Couldn't stop the run. Couldn't stop the pass. Couldn't do anything right last night. And honestly, Jimmy, I'd have to go to you. You can't lose playoff games. This doesn't look anything like the Steelers teams we've seen.
Yeah, Terry, now, I've got no inside information, but, things are stale in Pittsburgh. Things are stale in Dallas. And just food for thought. How about a coaching swap? Mike McCarthy's a Pittsburgh guy. Let him go to Pittsburgh, let Mike Tomlin go to Dallas. Both franchises would be excited.
But then the only problem is, you said they're both stale, but one continues to make the playoffs and the other one doesn't. That's not stale.
Hey, I'll tell you,
one's having more success.
Well, yeah, Pittsburgh over Dallas, no question about it. And meanwhile, there's a story out there that as far as the Steelers, who lost their 6th straight playoff game, by the way, under Coach Mike Tomlin, 5 in a row overall. You saw how badly they played last month and into the postseason, very much like Dallas last year before they got whacked. So, again, they were 10-7 this year. But according to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, despite the calls for a potential leadership change, the team has no plans to move on from Tomlin. Now, that's according to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette today. But things can change in a hurry. I have no doubt. I'm not doubting the sources of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. But initially, I think, the Rooney family's going to take a step back here, reevaluate, and let's see what happens here with the Steelers. But I do think that's a pretty interesting premise to trade that Jimmy Johnson proposed, to trade Mike Tomlin to the Dallas Cowboys for Mike McCarthy going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Definitely, I'm not sure Mike Tomlin is going to be safe with the Steelers. It's just, it's one of those things. We talk about it all the time. I don't care, in the 4 majors, whatever you want to say, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey, there are sometimes you're tuning a team out. You're tuning players out, or you can be with the greatest coach in the world, and all of a sudden the bleep hits the fan. I'm not saying the bleep has hit the fan by any stretch of the imagination in Pittsburgh, but clearly the message, you lose 5 straight games and 6 straight playoff games. There's going to be consequences. There's no question there's going to be consequences. Meanwhile, before we get to the what happened with the Eagles yesterday and the Green Bay Packers. I wanted to get to Rex Ryan as well. Rex Ryan eating a whole bunch of crow. I got to fight again. Forgive me today. No Angel Martinez, so I'm working solo here, pushing all sorts of buttons, and I want to get you the best sound available. Okay, here. Now, last week, Rex Ryan said on one of the shows, either Get Up, probably on Get Up, about it was going to be a bye week for the L.A. Chargers and Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. And now, like many of you out there, now I thought the Chargers would win. Did I not think that Justin Herbert would throw 4 interceptions? 2 of them were not his fault. There's no question. 2 of them went through the hands of his receiver. McConkey was one. I forget who the other one was. But 2 interceptions that should not have taken place. Nevertheless, he's going to be coming under fire. Jim Harbaugh, Rex Ryan talking about was going to be bye week for the Chargers on Saturday against Houston. But as Lee Corso says, not so fast.
In the show, that what would we be talking about today? And I said today, Rex Ryan would owe the Houston Texans an apology because of the performance I knew they were going to put up.
Well, before we hear from Rex, let's hear from the Texans. Rex had been suggesting that this was a bye week for the Chargers. Ooh. And believe me, the Texans were aware of it.
They're showing a picture of the Texans in the locker room smoking cigars.
Smoking on that Rex Ryan bye week pack.
Yes.
Come on, Rex.
Who says you can't motivate a team, man?
Oh!
Yeah, bring the stogie out. Motivate a team with the best of them and things like that, but my goodness, I mean, who had a worse day? Me or Justin Herbert? It's probably right there, but I got to tell, you got to tip your hat to them because that team played their absolute asses off. Look, if you guys were going to play like that, I would have taken you to win the Super Bowl. But I'm seeing the games going up into it, 1-5 against playoff teams. I'm seeing all that, and I'm sorry, Houston.
Oh, we got one!
But you think I'm not picking you next week either.
Oh, boy.
Well, maybe I will.
Let's talk about how they did this.
Well, Houston will be at Kansas City next week. We'll play some highlights. Now, the thing about Rex Ryan, I'm hearing from WFAN in New York yesterday that Rex Ryan is not going to be the next head coach of the Jets. And here's the problem. Here's the thing I have with, I like what that Rex gives his opinion. But as a former coach, somewhat successful. But as a former coach, when you talk about teams in the playoffs and other teams are going to get a bye week, it is never, how many times do I have to say this? It is never, ever, ever as easy as it seems on paper, whatever. I'll bring it back to my Celtics a little bit. They're actually still trying to find their identity. But, they hold off the Pelicans last night and signed 120-119. Just because they're defending champs. And I do think they're going to repeat again. But no one's going to hand them. I don't expect anybody to hand them anything on a silver platter. I don't expect that. And nor should any team. And you bring that back, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. It should be hard. Like somebody said once, if it's that easy, everybody would do it. But I'm surprised Rex Ryan would say what he did as a former about any team in the NFL having a bye week. It is never, ever, ever, ever that easy. Ever. Even during the Patriots' great run in 2007 before they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. But you go back to the playoff games that they had to play. San Diego or Jacksonville at first played them very tough. And then and Phillip Rivers and the Chargers played them very tough as well. I think it was 21-12, and I think the Patriots ran the last 9 minutes out of the game. But I'm saying, they were big favorites in all these games. It's never, ever, ever that easy. It just isn't. Now I know it looked easy for the Baltimore Ravens against the Steelers. As far as running the football, I know when you look at the score, you see 32-12 Houston, but that game was somewhat close and entertaining into the mid-third quarter before things got out of hand and some bad interceptions, but 2 bad interceptions by Justin Herbert, some big-time mistakes. And you credit the Houston Texans for executing better. But there was a lot of ugliness in all these games. Buffalo got down 7-0 early. We'll get to the highlights of that. But I do want to switch over now and get to some of these, the highlights from the Philadelphia Packer game. Not the most exciting of games at all. Jalen Hurts was 13 of 21 for only 119 yards, no touch with 2 touchdowns, and that's fine. But still, there's still something seems a little bit off as far as A.J. Brown was only targeted 3 times, only had 1 catch for 10 yards. That cannot happen. They're going to move forward and take on either Minnesota or the Rams at home. I mean, they might be able to get away with that. As long as Saquon Barkley keeps doing what he's doing, and he was outstanding again yesterday, 119 yards on 25 carries. But let's get to some of the highlights of this game, then we'll break it all down. But if you're an Eagles fan, you got to be happy. A win is a win. You don't care about the sexiness of the win. There's some concerns a little bit. I would just like to see the offense get going a little bit better. Now, Jalen Hurts didn't practice until the end of the week, so he might have been a little cool. The word of the day is stale, but he might have been a little stale and rusty. The second word of the day is rusty. But you still would like to see him target A.J. Brown again. This looks like, and he threw some horrible passes yesterday as well. No interceptions, but nevertheless, some horrible passes. This was my favorite play of the game. Get out the club, Dallas Goedert.
Throw it here, quick throw near side. Good adjustment and a catch by Goddard, who runs over his man, still on his feet, and he scores!
Get out the club!
What a play by Dallas Goedert, ran right through Valentine for the touchdown.
Put that on the highlight reel. Go up there, make contact, stiff arm. Look at his face, stiff arm, 2 of them. And looking for more. What a boost.
Yep, Tom Brady right there with the analysis. Kevin Burkhardt with the call on Fox yesterday, and the Eagles win 22. The Eagles win 22-10 over the Green Bay Packers. Was also interesting after the game. A.J. Brown, like I said, 1 catch for 10 yards, was on the sideline reading a book.
That's a book that I bring every single game. And, my teammates call it the recipe. That's the first time I heard that y'all got me on camera. But that's not the first game. It got a lot of points in there. It's a lot of mental game, a lot of mental parts about it. And, because for me, this game is mental. I physically believe I can do anything and everything, but, I got to make sure my mental good. So it's something like how I refresh every drive. Regardless of if I score a touchdown or I drop a pass, I always go back to that book every drive and just refocus and nothing matters, nothing happens, and just relog back in. But so.
Is there a certain passage?
No, felt good, felt real good. Moving around really good. It didn't show it on the stat, but I did a lot. Today. For my teammates.
Not really.
And stuff, so it's all good.
Yeah, all right. You could say you open up. I don't know what book it was, and I don't care if it was the Bible or Harry Potter or what the hell it is. I mean, I've never seen anybody read a book on the sideline before. That had nothing to do with now they use tablets. But isn't that bizarre? Who reads a book on the sideline? I've never seen that. And trust me, I don't think A.J. Brown said it the first time the cameras had brought it up, because that would have been all over NFL Network or ESPN or some of the other networks. But, I mean, I don't get that. What book are you reading? Stop. What are you doing? You should be looking at a tablet and looking at why you only had 1 catch yesterday, despite the fact that you think you played a lot better than you did. And let's see. Smith was the leading receiver, 55 yards on 4 catches, no touchdowns. Goddard, you heard the touchdown there. He was very good yesterday, but only 4 catches for 47 yards. Dotson had 1 catch for a touchdown, by the way, and 11 yards. But A.J. Brown, instead of reading the book, go to the tablet. Why aren't you talking with your offensive coordinator and looking at plays? I don't get it. I don't know what book you were reading, but to me, that's just like unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Here's Nick Sirianni. And again, let me just play it. It started great, obviously, for the Philadelphia Eagles right on the opening play. I want to play it for you in case you missed it on the opening kickoff. I'm trying to find it here. And Jordan Love, by the way, he had some horrific throws as well. A couple of horrible interceptions. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, okay. Here it is. Here's ex-Packer Aaron Burks lowering the boom on the turnover. Clear to see a Fox. Here's the opening play yesterday, in case you missed it.
And the NFL playoffs on Fox. And here we go. Here's Keyshawn Nixon, the all-pro returner for Green Bay. And gets decked up before the third. I think the ball came out there. Who's going to come out of it? Eagles say they have it.
Exactly the way you can't start. You got to a great player, Keyshawn Nixon, but an absolutely clean hit right on the ball. Knocks it free. Looks like he grabbed it there, but you never know what goes on at the bottom of that pile. Big time hit there by Oren Burks. And he's got it right there, but he's got it. Oh, maybe he gets it back.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands.
Wow.
First down.
The special teams for the Eagles, and Michael Clay, their coordinator, making a big play to start, and now great field position to start for the offense.
Yeah, the Eagles recovered that fumble on the opening kickoff. 3 plays later, Jalen Hurts had a touchdown pass, and it seemed, not that it was over, but you just tell it was not going to be the Packers' game, their day. Jordan Love twice got picked off in the first half, and then holding a 19-10 lead in the fourth quarter. And it felt to me like it was 29-10, not 19-10. The Eagles forced a turnover on downs. Green Bay had 4th and 3 on its own 41, 5 minutes left in the game. Quinton Mitchell had one final interception of Love with 1:51 left in the game. Sealed the win for the NFC champs, and they'll host next week. They will host either the Rams or the Minnesota Vikings, who play tonight, by the way, on ABC at 8 o'clock. Let's see. After the game, here is Nick Sirianni on recovering that fumble on the opening kickoff.
Yeah, it was a tone setter. Oren has been a really good player here for us the entire season. He went in there and played good when N'Kobe went down at linebacker as well. He played good last week at linebacker, but he's always been a spark for us on special teams. And I remember Howie, when we signed him, was just like, hey, this guy is one of the best third, fourth linebackers in the NFL. And we were so excited to get him, and he's a special teams stud. And he's shown that, right? I think he's forced 2 fumbles now on the year on special teams, but that was a big-time hit. Big emphasis for us this week because Nixon's a phenomenal football player. I have so much respect for their special teams coach and their assistant coach, who I actually had a chance to work with as well. They're really good coaches. I just can't say enough about Green Bay and their players and their coaches. That's a good football team. But just a big time play by Oren and Jake by placing it at the right place. Jake was phenomenal kicking the kickoffs today. And then we beat the blocks that we needed to beat in that particular case and made a big time play you can't start a game better than that.
By the way, despite some of the offensive deficiencies, throwing the ball for Jalen Hurts, I believe now it's 7 games in a row that he has without an interception. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Matt LaFleur, by the way, on his Packers losing the opening kickoff.
Watching the replay of that fumble, did you think for a moment that maybe Keyshawn had recovered it?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought we recovered the ball, just what they showed on the big board. What I was hearing from our guys upstairs, I think Connor Lewis is spot on majority of the time, and they all thought it was our ball, but obviously the league felt differently. So,
did you get an explanation on why it wasn't our ball?
I didn't get anything.
How much did that just take the wind out of the sails to start like?
Yeah, you got to be able to overcome things. Bad things happen in games, and you just got to be able to be resilient and bounce back. And we just didn't do enough, obviously, to do that. You're not gonna win many games when you're -4 in the turnover battle, and we knew going in. Sirianni's got a heck of a record when they win the football, so that was one of the points of emphasis. I think it's like 28-2 when they win the turnover battle, and so that was a huge point of emphasis. It always is every week. A lot of these games are going to come down to that, and you can't be -4 and expect to win a football game.
Yeah, and no question about it. The The Packers now, I believe, are 0-11 when they're trailed this year by 10 points or more. 0-11. So I played you the cut earlier of A.J. Brown defending himself, why he had a book on the sideline. But here's how it went down on Fox. This is so bizarre.
So A.J. Brown, well, we're figuring that out. He, he's a little frustrated. Obviously, he hasn't seen too many balls today. He's going to read a little passage here.
I haven't seen too many people read books, but I've seen a quarterback eat a hot dog.
I don't know what book he was reading. I don't care what it is. No offense. Again, I don't care if it was the Bible, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. I don't really care. War and Peace, Tale of Two Cities, Shakespeare. I don't care what it is. You're reading a sonnet. I don't get it. While you're doing that, you should have a tablet with your offensive coordinator and going over why you only had one catch for 10 yards. That is where the priorities should have been. Let's see. All right. Let's move on to what happened. Well, we'll get to Houston and the Chargers, 32-12 in that one. Baltimore doubled up Pittsburgh, 28-14 on Saturday. Yesterday, the Broncos got down early thanks to the Oregon connection with Troy Franklin's 43-yard touchdown pass from Bo Nix early in the first quarter on CBS.
Have to disrupt it. 2nd and 4. There's Nix going for the long ball. He's got a step on him. And the Broncos strike early with the touchdown to Franklin from 43 yards out.
Yep, well, that's where it would end for the Denver Broncos. They made it interesting for another 5 or 6 minutes or so, but in the end, it was all about the Buffalo Bills.
Big play here. Trying to go up top for it.
He wants to run for it, Jim. He wants to just go get it with his legs. He's trying to find the opening.
It wasn't there, so now he's got to throw it deep to the end zone. And was that caught? Yes! Ty Johnson scrapes it off the ground, above the ground for the touchdown.
What a play that was. What a catch. I was worried that was going to be, illegal touching, because I thought that Johnson may have stepped out of bounds first and then came back in. Then you thought maybe that one of his feet was out of bounds before, but certainly the first replay, one knee in the NFL equals 2 feet. It was the right call, and the Bills, that was a huge play in that football game yesterday. The Bills go on to win 31-7. Let's see, what other highlights can they show? Josh Allen talked about that catch.
Ty Johnson seemed to really seal the deal, him going down, scooping the turf on that 4th down.
Yeah, 4th down, just need to make a play there. And man-to-man, I feel like they played pretty good coverage on some of our underneath routes. I just extended. Ty did what Ty does and made a heck of a play for us.
Sean McDermott, head coach of the Bills, talked about what he saw in the Ty Johnson and Curtis Samuel touchdowns.
The 2 touchdowns, can you walk us through what you saw on Ty's touchdown and then Curtis's touchdown?
What I saw? Well, probably like you on Ty's touchdown, I was going, oh, come on. Oh, yeah, good. So the review was important right there, too, I know. Ty's just, he makes plays. He makes plays. And Josh has a lot of trust in him, as you saw. And then Curtis, it just feels good for Curtis, right? I feel good for Curtis. I know the locker room does. He's been working so hard all year. He's been dealing, working through some injuries every week, and to come out and do what he did. I really believe it was last week going out there and playing in that game set him up for success this week. Because if you kind of drop yourself back in after being out, whatever it would have been, having not played last week, it's not the same. So I think he gained some confidence from going out there last week.
He talked about Curtis Samuel's touchdown. Here it is, 55 yards, a beautiful throw of Josh Allen. What a juke he made.
Bills Mafia, Brunell, the huge win. I remember that game. He played awesome.
Big 3rd and 6, wide open. And then Samuel zigs and zags, slips through a tackle. He's taking it home for the touchdown.
Yep, thanks again to Jim Nantz. Called its 500th game yesterday, was acknowledged across Stevie at the stadium. Acknowledged a 500th game. Was that yesterday? Besides, he worked on Saturday as well. I can't remember. All the days, the whole weekend just is a blur to me with all this football that I've watched, and we haven't even got into Ohio State and Notre Dame, and they'll play for the national championship a week from tonight. at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Meanwhile, Josh, this is interesting before we go to break, and then I'll preview, when we come back, I will preview the Vikings and the Rams, get you some audio from that one coming up tonight. Should be a great one in Arizona. And again, thoughts and prayers and our hearts go out to everybody in California, the Pacific Palisades area, greater Los Angeles area, as they continue to recover from those horrific fires. I know a lot of people, including myself, have donated to the Red Cross a little bit to try and ease the pain. But man, it is just unbelievable. You saw what happened to J.J. Redick's rental home, absolutely destroyed. And but he wants to keep playing just so people have a distraction. Anyway, we might get to some of that stuff a little bit later on. But after the game, Josh Allen said the ref actually came over to him at one point, told him to stop yelling.
The ref came over to talk to you, went like all the way to the bench. What was he saying? What was going on?
Was that after? I wasn't happy with what was going on, and I was yelling a little bit, and he just said, "Don't be yelling." So my bad.
Sorry. Did he apologize for the? Did he apologize for?
I won't say anything about that.
Hey, Josh, talk about that.
All right. Quick break here once again. Pete Sheppard here in the Coastal Sports Network. We'll preview the Rams and the Vikings coming up from Arizona and more NFL sound. More on Mike Vrabel. Bill Burt at the bottom of the hour from the Eagle Tribune. We'll really get into it. And a whole lot more on the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Monday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber. And I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now, You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
For the best in college football and NFL talk, check out The Pete Sheppard Show, 7 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday.
From 37 to send Washington to the Final Eight. The Washington Commanders on the upright, and it is in! They doink their way to the divisional round! Unbelievable!
I have seen it all now. I even get a divisional doink. I feel like every time I see a game-winning field goal, it's in an upright.
My God. Divisional doinks. Sounds like Cinemax back in the day at 3 o'clock in the morning. Good Lord. Oh, what a day. Gonzalez fixes his hair, puts his helmet on, and makes the field goal. Lucky. But Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders got it done over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. An absolute heartbreaking loss for the Bucs yesterday at Raymond James. And was it my imagination? There were a ton, and I mean a ton, of Washington Commander fans there as well. Before we go no further, I do want to tell you, Phil Castanetti's Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Make sure you get down to the Sports World at 184 Broadway in Saugus, Massachusetts. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. If you've never been there, or even if you're not in Massachusetts, go check out the webpage and check out the stuff. There's nobody better than this guy. Phil has all the best stuff, autographed stuff, amazing stuff. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus, be there. Also want to thank our friends at Total Sports Prep. As always, for the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports craving. It's Total Sports Prep. Staff combing through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them at sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep. The name says it all. Back here on the Pete Sheppard Show, Bill Burke joined me at the bottom of the hour as we continue discussing more on the Mike Vrabel situation, what he expects. A lot of people, including myself, have already speculated Josh McDaniel is going to be the next offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots under Mike Vrabel. Maybe it's possible that he does have other plans, but we shall see. Patriots with a fourth-round pick and a fourth pick overall in the first round of the NFL draft and $133.5 million in salary cap. It should be a very attractive situation now for free agents, T. Higgins and company, to come and make their way and be a Patriot now that Vrabel is there. Rick says, I feel bad for Tampa fans. It must have felt like a punch in the gut. There is no question about that. It was definitely a punch in the gut. I really thought that was a game. That was my lock of the weekend. I really thought Tampa Bay would win by like 7 to 10 points, but you give that kid credit. He was Daniels was unbelievably poised in that game. And like I said, first time in the history of the NFL in the postseason, the quarterback threw for 80% completion percentage with no interceptions and 2 touchdowns and lost. That was Baker Mayfield in that game. The key play in that game was the jet sweep to McMillan that unfortunately Baker, and he's already admitted it was on him, hit his hip instead of hitting him in the gut. So that was the huge play in the game. It was right after Tampa had stopped Washington on a first and goal from the 5, and they couldn't get in. It was great D by the Buccaneers, and I thought that's when I really thought they were going to win the game, but that turnover was absolutely freaking killer. Meanwhile, tonight, because of the horrible fires going on, the LA Rams will take on the Minnesota Vikings at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Let's get to some preview sound for that one. First up, Minnesota's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm Brian Flores. This is the Fitz and Wit podcast, by the way.
Flores has been a really hot name, and I think the further removed we get from his tenure in Miami, the more people kind of forget about how that ended.
I'll get back to that cut in a second. That's not what I really wanted to play. Here's Sean McVay on the familiarity with Kevin O'Connell and his system. He's put his own spin on things.
Do you see a lot of the Rams in them?
What I see is he's done an excellent job of morphing it to his players. I think that sometimes can get a little bit overemphasized. There's a foundational philosophy that I think people carry offensively, Gary. But he's put his own spin on it that works for his team. And I think there's been a great evolution and you really look at it and, I've been really impressed with what they've done and I enjoy watching their tape and there's some similarities of things that we've done together. And then there's been some things that they've kind of added and that fits their group. So very impressed nonetheless.
Here's Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings on prepping for the Rams.
Well, you're going to see principles of it for sure. But, what makes each team in this league unique is personnel drives a lot of the scheme. Yep. And then ultimately you can try to do some things that maybe mirror and mimic what some other teams do. But this time of year, it can be hard to try to totally reinvent yourself based upon what you may have seen in a short sample size, small sample size. But we're definitely going to see some of the principles of it, that's for sure. And we've got to have answers for that. And in many cases, it comes down to all 11 guys, whatever phase, simply just doing their job at a really high level and, making sure that one play where maybe you do get edged or, the 3 technique beats you and pressure Sam, when Aaron Jones might have a chance at a touchdown on a one-on-one versus a linebacker, or we've got a chance down there in the low red to finish with 7 points, which was, I thought, a critical, maybe the most critical part of the whole night was we weren't nearly our standard in the red zone, and that's why we lost the football game. But there was a lot of things that go into that. There's no one area to really point to. It clearly starts with me doing a better job having our team ready to execute regardless of circumstance, and that's the way I'm going about the week.
All right, how about Kevin O'Connell, what he learned during his time with Sean McVay and the Rams?
Yeah, well, it is a great question and a huge foundation of who I am as a head coach. PA, this is my time. I not only spent the 2 years with Sean, but I've known Sean for a long time, and going back, really to my first year coaching in this league. And I think Sean is perfect for this moment in time as somebody that's been a major impact on me, because the story of 2021 where that Niners team had given us a lot of trouble, and we play them incredibly tough. We've got a lead in that week 18, game 17. game, and they beat us. They beat us in overtime. Actually, Ambry Thomas, now in our practice squad, intercepts Matthew to end the game, and it was deflating. It was deflating, and although a couple other results went the way that we needed them to, where we still won the division, we lost that football game. We had won a good chunk. We had come here to beat the Vikings in a game. We had gone to Baltimore and won. We had really kind of solidified what was a shaky time in November for us. And then we won a lot of football games, lose that game to San Francisco. But I'll just never forget the mindset of our process and how we went about the week, how our team just continued to laser their focus on what it would take to win one game, and then all that goes into it, all the unique aspects of winning football games in this league against the variety of opponents you can play. I know Sean has an utmost amount of respect for what we do here and our team, and he knows that it's going to be a battle, and we expect the same. I mean, they're so well coached. They're going to have great game plans in all three phases against what we do, and we're going to try to do the same thing. That's what makes matchups like this special, because it takes truly your best, especially when you now have to go on the road to go do this. So it's going to take a lot of things, PA, that I believe I've been really emphasizing for a long time.
Yeah.
If it was a change from me, from the messaging that helped us get to 14-3, just because the result didn't go the way we wanted, I told our team yesterday, we acknowledged it. We have to do that. We have to watch the tape and not have thin skin on what happened, me included. And then we've got to move forward. And we've got to move forward with the best possible week of preparation we can and have the confidence that we're a team that won a lot of football games with very, very different ways in a lot of weeks, but at the same time, a lot of core principles that mattered. And that's what we've tried to build here. And I know leaving that team meeting room yesterday, there was a lot of juice and energy and a confident team to go have our best week yet.
By the way, they're referring back to the game that happened on October 25th with the Rams beating the Minnesota Vikings 30-20. In that game, though, the Vikings were up 14-7 in the first quarter, 14-14 at halftime, and then obviously the Rams took over. Stafford had an unbelievable game, 25-34, 279 yards and 4 touchdowns. And not that Sam Darnold was bad, but he was 18-25, 240 yards, and a couple of touchdowns in that game. The Vikings did not run the ball very well at all in that one, only 64 yards. And meanwhile, that was the game for the Rams that Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp came back after being injured, and they combined for 12 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown. But Matthew Stafford talked about having one of his best games of the year against the Vikings.
One of your best games of the season came against the Vikings. Do you look back to that and try to replicate it at all? Or
I mean, I think they're playing different ball. We're playing different ball. You kind of evolve as the season goes on. If you look at the tape, certain things look similar, certain things look different. I think the biggest thing is just personnel, watching your guys go up against their guys, how that looks. But scheme-wise, I know there's going to be different wrinkles. Flo's always had, a bunch of, different coverages, different pressures, all those kind of things that you got to get ready for and be able to adjust to on the fly in the game. So, just kind of go out there and try to do my best to make sure we're in a good place.
And Matthew Stafford also talking about representing Los Angeles during this difficult time.
I mean, I think we, every time we suit up, we're the Los Angeles Rams. We play for the people in this community, the people that support us, and this week will be, another example of that, obviously. And, it's I'm sure, hopefully, a great escape for people who have been going through a lot of tough times. Here the last couple of days, really football all weekend, and then 2 teams in LA that are. In the playoffs.
All right. Williams also rushed for 97 yards in the last time they played, October 25th. Again, these games, that doesn't mean anything that the Rams won 30-20 at all. I actually like the Minnesota Vikings tonight. And the reason why I like the Minnesota Vikings tonight is not because I think they're I'm just not a fan of how the Rams have been playing lately. Not that matters, because Houston wasn't playing that well either. But to me, it's about Brian Flores. And I think that Stafford, although being very good against the blitz, I think he's going to have his work cut out for him tonight. I really do. I think Brian Flores is a huge difference in this one for the Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator. I think Stafford's going to have his hands full. But And I think Brian Flores knows Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the league against the blitz. Maybe tone it down a little bit or disguise the scheme a little bit better. And I think they will find a way. And I think Sam Darnold is going to rebound. Now, that's going to be the big thing. And maybe we find out early in the first quarter. Sam Darnold's got to get that Detroit game out of his head because he laid a big freaking brain cramp in that one. He was not good, overthrowing receivers, underthrowing receivers. It was a bad look. But he has been resilient all year long. And I'm just throwing this out. I'm just throwing this out there right now that Sam Darnold obviously is their starting quarterback. I believe the team waived Nick Mullins, right? Did they not waive Nick Mullins, the backup quarterback, late last week? I believe they did. And I want everybody for the Minnesota Vikings, you fans out there, especially my neighbors across the street, next door, diagonally across, that God forbid something happens to Sam Darnold. I believe your backup quarterback for this game on the depth chart is Daniel Jones. What? Yes. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. Yes. So, God forbid something happens to Sam. I believe Daniel Jones will take over. Now, does he have some God forbid something happens to Sam. Does he have some Frank Reich in him, like what happened when he, subbed for Jim Kelly a few years ago? I don't know. But nevertheless, that's your backup quarterback. Bill says, good morning, Keith. Good morning, Bill. Morning. Good morning. All right, Bill Burke coming up at the bottom of the hour. Meanwhile, one of the huge stories outside of the playoff games, obviously, was the Patriots' hiring of Mike Vrabel. On SiriusXM NFL Radio yesterday, James White talked about the hiring.
He's a guy who's played in this league, had success in Tennessee. That didn't necessarily, end well once they traded away A.J. Brown and, Ryan Tannehill ended up leaving the organization, had a tough ending there. I still thought, he should have been the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, but, hey, they decided to move on. But he's a good ball coach, fired up guy. He's going to talk his stuff. He definitely, going up against him when we had Tom and we had joint practices with Tennessee. He's just a fired up guy and he knows what he's doing. I know guys love to play for him. He's going to hold his players accountable too, which I think is very important. And that's how you get the best, out of your team.
All right, again, Angel Martinez not on today, so I can't play the video, but I will play the audio. The Patriots posted a hype video late last night welcoming their brand new head coach, Mike Vrabel. Here's what it sounded like.
So hopefully, I can go back and coach and teach the same things that I learned and hopefully, kind of steer them in the right way.
That is the perfect fit of what New England's probably looking for.
And he's a member of the team's Hall of Fame. It makes too much sense for him not to be the Patriots coach.
Because he is proven. He had the #1 seed and made an AFC Championship game different years.
He's on that very short list of coaches who have had success in the NFL. Obviously, Mike's a very bright guy, knows the rules better than anybody else.
First off, he's just a high-quality human being. Smart, intelligent, charismatic. Mike was really good at a lot of things. He was one of the most complete all-around football players I've ever played with.
I want to thank the fans that made coming and playing in this stadium unbelievably special. When we traveled, you were there. When we were here, you were there. And when you threw the snow, and every memory that comes back right now. So I want to thank you fans, okay, for the opportunity to stand here today in front of you. But I also want you not to take this organization for granted. I've been a lot of places. This is a special place with great leadership, great fans, great direction.
Ability to stand in front of a room and take over. That's what you're getting with Vrabel. He's a guy who combines credibility with the chops, catching touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
First and goal at the Eagle 2. Double setback. Back to throw. Brady fires. End zone. Caught. Touchdown. It's Vrabel. Mike Vrabel. All right.
And Warner goes back to throw. And here's the blitz by Mike Vrabel. The pass is intercepted. Picked up by Tyrone.
Drops back to throw. Here comes the pressure. Hit. Burrow. Ball on the ground. Let's see who has it. Patriots recover at the Carolina 19. Fires. Touchdown. Touchdown in the end zone to Mike Vrabel. Tom Brady, 1.5 yards to Mike Vrabel. Patriots take the lead.
Enjoy it. It's not like this everywhere. Thank you very much.
Oh, I got goosebumps. I can't take it. I can't take it. I want the season to start now. Oh, man. I am so jacked and pumped. That was just outstanding again. Mike Vrabel, one of the great underrated stats maybe in sports history. A guy has 10 receptions and 10 touchdowns. That is absolutely amazing, including a couple in the Super Bowl. Man, oh, man. Bill says, Gil Santos, best Pats call ever. Yes, the late, great Gil Santos, one of my favorite people of absolutely all time. And he did the radio broadcast for many, many years, along with Gino Cappelletti, who is also absolutely one of my favorite people in the world. So, but now Bob Sosey and Scott Zolak have taken over the last few years, and they do a tremendous job. And hopefully, going to have Zoe on later in the week as well. Get his thoughts on what's the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel, and we'll get into all of it in just a second here with Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune, who's going to join me. And I do think I forgot to play this earlier before Bill comes on. We talked about the other thing about what is going on with Pittsburgh and the Steelers, and they lose their last 5 games of the season, and they very much look like the Philadelphia Eagles did last year. The Pittsburgh Steelers now have lost 6 straight playoff games as well. Here's the boys on NFL Network talking about it with Kyle Brandt.
What I'm going to talk about is not fun, but I think we owe it to the fans. During the middle of the game, in about the third quarter, I went to the trending topics just to see what the most popular topics were. It was not Lamar. It was not Derrick Henry. It was not Ravens. The number one trending topic in the United States was just Tomlin. Tomlin. That is the number one. And there's a lot of idiocy that went on that trending topic if you kicked on it. So let's just stick to the facts. This was a 10-3 team that completely fell apart and lost 5 in a row to end the season. This is now 8 straight seasons without a playoff win to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this was undignified. The first half of that game was undignified. It's also unprecedented. Chuck Noll never went more than 4 seasons without a playoff win. Bill Cowher never went more than 3 seasons without a playoff win. Yikes! We have now gone 8. 8! And you say, well, he can't figure out the quarterback. And I understand. I look around the league and I see teams with rookies and retreads and 7th-round picks winning playoff games. And there is this take, which I agree with, think we all do, that if the Steelers were ever to part ways with Mike Tomlin, there'd be 25 teams lining up to hire him. And I agree. I also think there's 25 teams in the league that would be thrilled to make the playoffs every year. It's great. We get to the playoffs. It's awesome. We can do business. We're done. But I think there is a very exclusive fraternity of teams in the league that would hate just making the playoffs every year because they stand for something different. The Steelers are not only in that fraternity, they're the president of it. 8 straight years. It's not working. It's getting worse. It was undignified last night. And whether it's talking about a trade or saying it's not working anymore and let's make a move, I do think it's time to consider a divorce. And I know that's very heavy, and we celebrate Tomlin. I have to serve the fans, and I think it's what the fans are saying.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. I don't think there's any question about it. I thought Jimmy Johnson brought up a proposal yesterday on the Fox Sports Network that during the pregame show, I just happened to click over, like right after the Buffalo Bills game ended on CBS. I switched over to Fox. I usually don't watch the pregame shows, but on Wild Card Weekend, what the hell? I'm just, I get tired of 6 or 7 guys in the studio telling me exactly what most of the stuff that I already know. But Countdown was great yesterday. Brewski was great yesterday. Gronk was good, but there was a lot of good discussion yesterday on these pregame shows that I absolutely appreciated. And I know Bill Burt's going to join us in just a bit. I got a little intro for him as well. It's not him asking the question, by the way, but if you haven't heard, okay, let me switch over and we say good morning to Bill Burt. And Bill, I greet you with this. This was not directed at you, obviously, but this could be a sign of something to come.
Because it sucks to lose, Gentry.
It's hey, I'm heading out Foxborough at noon.
Did you have another thought or no? I'm just curious.
Well,
it fucking sucks. Losing. Awful. That's why I want to win. Because you don't sleep. You want to win for the players that bust their tail. That's it.
Billy, in the words of George Costanza, I think it moved. Absolutely. I am so excited. Now, you just said, Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune, you're headed down to Foxborough today at noon. I'm assuming this is going to be the introductory press conference.
Yeah, I'm leaving here in about an hour and a half, get there a little early. Look, this had to be done. I think what happened was we were exposed to It's interesting. I think what's come about here is that and Belichick sort of mentioned it recently. This has been like a 3 or 4 year thing going on at Gillette, and behind the scenes, I think there were people running behind Belichick's back to the front office, and even the last couple of years with Belichick, it was bad, and he deserves some credit for it because of the players. But this is now they basically have admitted we had, and I wrote this. I think I was on with you about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
They had no voice.
No.
Like no one represented the Patriots. There was nobody. Now they got a guy. It's Mike Vrabel, and I like. It's funny because Dan Campbell. He reminds me of now. He was Dan Campbell before Dan Campbell because Dan Campbell just came onto the scene.
That's a great analogy, Bill. Honestly, that is a fantastic analogy right there.
That's what he brings, and there's a bravado, there's a toughness, and it's been missing here. And I don't know. Listen, it wasn't like he was the best coach ever in Tennessee. I still have questions. Was he part of the decision process to bring in Tannehill at quarterback? Because I knew before he went there and seeing him in Miami, he wasn't going to be the answer. That's one thing I'd want to know. But that being said, they were tough, and the Patriots have been meek. And I think we're going to see. And now this is a big job here. There are so many spots on this roster they need to fill. I mean, we're talking 40 players. Mm-hmm. This isn't like 8 or 10. This isn't 2 superstars. This is the entire roster. So, okay, I'm all over the map here. This was a great move. They had to do it. And Vrabel will hold the front office accountable or ownership. And I think that has been missing here for a few years.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into here, not to mention the fact they have the number 4 pick in the first round and $133.5 million in salary cap space. They can't fuck it up. But Vrabel's second season, Titans went to the AFC title game. They earned the number 1 seed a couple years later. And that's a game when they played, was it Kansas City in the title? I mean, that's a game they were up by 18 points, I think, or more. And they just kind of lost it. But coach of the year, I mean, it absolutely had to get done. I think it's going to be really interesting to see. You heard Teddy Bruschi's comments yesterday on NFL Countdown?
That was basically centered, I think, at Jonathan Kraft. And
what about Aaron Wolf, too, to a degree, don't you think?
Well, I think, though, it's like get the front office in order. It's a mess. And look, Teddy, he has a cachet. These are Patriots Hall of Famers here. This is Mike Vrabel, Patriots Hall of Famer. These guys can come in and look, Gerard Mayo. Look, you've been on Gerard Mayo and religiously, mercilessly, whatever word we want to use, he was in over his head. He should have never been hired. This is $1 billion industry. You have coaches on other teams that don't sleep. They spend 20 hours a day working. And that here it was sort of a country club atmosphere.
But you know what? Can I say something real quick? And that's a great point. I bring it up because everybody remembers, when the movie with Leo, Papali, Dick Vermeil. One thing Bill Belichick didn't do, at least his tenure with the Patriots, he was not like sleeping on the couch. He went home. He might have got there fairly early in the morning, but Bill Belichick never slept on the couch. Like you say, a lot of these other coaches do that.
Yeah, and that's what you're going. That's the thing. That's why you get a player that or a quarterback that can that has a specific way they run to the right a lot. They figure it out. Coaches figure it out. And my problem was the Patriots were it was a country club around here. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a country club as we saw players talking, bad players talking, saying. Demanding the ball, just little things that you just don't see with winning organizations. Look at I saw it last night with Philadelphia. That's why you got wide receiver reading a book on the side.
What was he reading? I don't care if it was the Bible. I don't care if it was the Bible, Harry Potter, the Chronicles. No, I don't care what the hell he's reading. I've never seen that before. Neither had Tom Brady, if you heard him.
He was upset. He wasn't getting the ball, and that was his point. And so
3 targets for 10 yards. But I mean, what was he reading? Could you see what he was reading?
No. It just looked like some some manual or something. It was nothing to do with football.
Why isn't he with his offense coordinator with a tablet going over why he's only had one catch in the game for 10 yards? That's what I don't understand, and I don't know how Sirianni let him get away with it. And
the issue in Philadelphia is a quarterback. He can't throw the ball, and that's the problem. So that's the problem there. And there's been a mutiny of a sense with several players in the quarterback. So that's going to be exposed here in the next week. So, but that being said, that stuff that was happening around here to some extent, and it's not going to happen anymore. That's the best part. And the one thing we learned with Belichick, and I'm not saying Belichick's way is the right way, but you need everyone on the same page. And if players take off and venture off for themselves, it's not going to work here. Not anymore.
No, not anymore. And I can't wait for you guys to get down there and the noontime press conference, which I will be watching. I'll put it on the Patriots webpage because I'm sure ESPN and NFL Network are going to pick it up and maybe only bits and pieces of it. When you get a chance to ask your question, because I know it's going to be freaking jam-packed, not only that, you got to fend off the national people as well, and hopefully not the idiot news people that have no idea what they're talking about that get sent from around the country and ask stupid questions. This could be like a Super Bowl atmosphere today down there as far as media goes. Not quite, not 1,000 people, but you know what I'm talking about. What's the first question? If you get a chance, what are you going to ask him?
I want to know. So what's interesting to me about him is so he's not going to answer anything about the front office. He's going to be asked about that. What's striking to me is his passion for as a coach. He's a borderline. He's not a Hall of Fame player, but you could make an argument for him. But a great player, winning player. Why coach? He's a guy that could go in a booth and be wonderful. He could be an analyst. He could be in the Sunday one of those Sunday network booths and be great. Why put in the time? It's 80 to 100 hours a week. Why?
It's in his blood.
It is. I guess it is. But why isn't it? It's not in many players' bloods. A lot of players say they see what coaches do and say, I don't want to do that. He could make a lot of money with his personality, and he is a great guy. I do like him. I met him. I got to talk to him a little bit at Boston College a few years ago. His son was at BC, I went to the spring game. We were covering E.J. Perry from Andover.
That's right.
Who was there, and he was Teddy Bruschi was there too. That tells you that's something. Teddy was there to visit with Mike, and he's a guy's guy. He's funny. He's got a personality. And look, Pete, we were there during the heyday on WEEI, and I covered the team religiously back then. And he was the one guy. It was him and Matt Light that didn't fear Bill Belichick. They would throw. Belichick,
he would bust balls.
Everyone else was afraid of Belichick. Not Matt Light and not Mike Vrabel. And I respected that about him. That being said, my issue is, and I think he knows it. He loved to run the ball. They're going to go back to old school football, and now he's got a quarterback that can make plays. And I've called Drake May, Josh Allen in diapers. It's remarkable how much I think it's dangerous. I don't think he's as thick as Allen is. If he's going to run like that, as we see, he's already been hurt a couple of times. But I think he's got a guy that can make plays, and those guys are dangerous. And he can make it with his feet as well. But that's where they could be 2 years away from making a run if they fill the roster properly.
Look, I think it's a lot of great points. And one thing I will somewhat disagree with you with is they're going to go back to the run exclusively. Look, and I thought Teddy Bruschi made a great analogy yesterday on Countdown because he was asked, is he more, as he said, he's more Bill Parcells type than he is a Bill Belichick type. There's going to be accountability, fun, but somewhat of a dictatorship. What Teddy said, and I agree with him. You got to have a little of both, and I think it will work out. Now, remember when the Patriots drafted Bledsoe, and I remember specifically, it was before I got to WEEI, but I was in the business nevertheless listening. I remember, Drew's going to have to hand off. It's going to be three handoffs in a cloud of dust. And I'm telling you, great coaches adapt to their players. And I don't think Vrabel ever had the type of quarterback that he's going to have in Drake May. Now, You got to get the receivers to catch the ball, and hopefully they're going to improve on that. And now with Vrabel there, it becomes a much more attractive place for the Patriots, free agency-wise, T. Higgins and others. But I don't know, Bill. I think that you can't waste a talent like Drake May. You can't. And I'm not saying throw the ball 50 times a game or anything like that. But I think that they will. I think it'll be a balanced offense, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it has to be, Pete. But go look at Detroit. Detroit can run the football, and you've got to be able to run the football. And the Patriots haven't been able to run the football because of their offensive line. Let's be honest. But I believe that's this guy. That's his style. Is offensive line, defensive line, own the line of scrimmage, and have a quarterback.
No penalties.
And have a quarterback make plays. And that's what he brings. Now I'm simplifying this. We are this little discussion here. This is the style of football that we appreciate here in New England. And look, the first 3 Super Bowls won here were won that way. They were won by winning the line of scrimmage and pounding the football. And look, remember all those, couple of Super Bowls of Garrett Blunt, he wasn't a big name, scored a lot of touchdowns. And you got to have that presence. And that's what Vrabel's going to bring. I had no idea what Gerard Mayo's philosophy was. I still don't know what it was.
They had no philosophy and they had no identity.
Yeah,
and they had no. And as we talked about, there was no accountability throughout the entire season. Zero.
No talent either, though, Pete. That roster was disgraceful, and it was.
I know it was disgraceful. Yet they were in a whole bunch of games that, if they had better coaching, they would have won. I think they would have won the majority of them. And just guys gave up. There were no adjustments at all. Not just from Mayo, from the O's, from Van Pelt. And from the DC at Covington as well. Both of those guys will be out of here by the end of the day, I believe. And
I agree.
It's going to be, Josh McDaniels' name is going to come up. I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury's name is going to come up. I do think Gronk brought it up yesterday too, and we talked about it last week. I think, if I will be stunned if Josh McDaniels is not the offensive coordinator here. I really will be. I think Vrabel's going to make that phone call.
I agree. They're close. And, there's a tree there of buddies, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels, and Mike Vrabel, 3 elite good friends. And, I heard Bill O'Brien last week, and he's
not leaving.
No. But Bill O'Brien said that Mike Vrabel is the guy. And he goes, Josh Daniels, in my mind, is one of the best offensive minds that I've ever dealt with since I've been in the league. It just seems like an automatic fit. Josh gets to stay close, and, very rare that you can live in the same place for 20 out of 23 years like he's going to be able to do. And I think it's going to happen very soon.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens. And I can't wait to see. Now, you think, is Jonathan and Robert going to be at this press conference today? They supposed to be?
It was weird. Jonathan didn't show up for Gerard Mayo's press conference. He was at some paper meeting, apparently, and he wasn't there for the firing. That was Robert. I'll say this again. I think Jonathan has to step up. He's the owner in waiting, and it's going to be soon. Couple of years. He's a heartbeat away now. He's obviously involved in decision making. You see him sitting at games, writing stuff down on napkins or whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
And listen, Jonathan's a very bright guy.
Absolutely.
Very bright. I've heard him speak. I've chatted with him a couple of times. He's affable when he wants. He's, again, very intelligent. And I think they understood that this was heading in the wrong direction. I hope he's there today. I think he should be. But again,
how about Wolf? You think Wolf will be there today?
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be strict. It's probably going to be Robert and Vrabel. But I will say, I think Jonathan may show up at this one, to be honest with you.
But Vrabel, there is no question, he is going to put his thumbprint on this team. He is not going to be lectured by Eric Wolf or anybody else. So I'm sure he would not have taken this job. Not that he's going to have total autonomy, but he's going to have 3/4 of it. I believe that. He will have a big say in how the roster is developed. Obviously, the way, hopefully, they can sign a couple of free agents. They got a shitload of money, $133.5 million of salary cap money, and a number 4 pick. So there's a lot of there's a lot of capital here.
Look, they need a lot. defensive backfield we thought was a strength is a weakness, other than Gonzalez, who's very good. He's elite.
He's excellent.
They're going to need another corner. They're going to need another middle. Probably another defensive back, 2 or 3. They need a safety. They need linebackers. They need on the D line. D line was overrated. I think we thought it was better than it was. Again, they got hurt. They had some injuries. Listen, Pete, this is a reconstruction. And that's what I think. That's why they're doing this as soon as possible. I think it was a smart thing to do. I think they're going to be meeting tonight, probably talking about, they got to be ready on free agency the first day in March. They got to be ready, sort of like they were a couple of years ago, except they signed a lot, probably a lot of guys that weren't the right guys. But they have to be ready. And I'm going to be interested in the draft as well. Because that pick is going to be, there's, you get Carter from Penn State. Is he a Micah Parsons? If he is, absolutely take him. If you think he is, they need a left tackle. Those guys don't fall off trees, especially the cheap ones. That
big kid. Who's that big kid out of Texas? He's fantastic.
Sorry, he's awesome. Pete.
There's so many. You're right. They have so many needs, and I'm wondering. There's always that possibility that they trade the pick. We know the first 2 picks are going to be Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders. So 1-2, Cleveland 10. We know that's going to be the case, and then you have. Then it gets fairly. I'm sure they'd like to have Travis Hunter, but he's probably going to go before them and make it less.
I don't know if Travis Hunter might be a little. I don't think Travis Hunter's on their radar. I think he's 2 positions. He's got a little talking problem. He's a great player, obviously. Yeah. I just with that pick, you can't screw that up. And you need a body. You need a pass rusher, in my opinion, or you need or you need a left tackle.
Yeah.
And
totally
look at the offensive line. That's a project. And again, that's why this isn't going to be instantaneous. This is more like a 7-win team, possibly next year, maybe more. But again, I said this, Pete, to you 2 months ago. I just want to see December, how the Patriots look.
Exactly.
Looked awful. And this team next year, they just got to get better and better. And then you bring in the big hitters the following year in free agency. You bring in that 1 or 2 guys, you fill the spot, and you make a run at the Bills. That's what I think is going to happen.
All right, Bill, before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on some of these other games. I mean, last night, what a heartbreaking defeat for the Buccaneers. I mean, having a double doink off the right upright, it goes through. After they'd made that beautiful stop on 1st and goal from the 5, and they stop them. The inadvertent a jet sweep to McMillan that just now the center took the blame for it today, and Baker took the blame for it last night. Center said he missed a snap count. Baker obviously hit McMillan in the hip and not in the gut, and that was just horrible. Not that, but Daniels, that kid obviously, if you don't know it, he is the real deal. You talk about poise for a rookie, as is May. But obviously, this guy's been in bigger games of this year with a team that's in the playoffs, and now they're moving on. That was an amazing performance last night. Not only throwing the ball, but running the ball. Incredible stuff by him.
Yeah, you mentioned this year. No, his whole life he's played more. That's one thing going against Drake May. Drake May hasn't played in a lot of big games. That's maybe the one drawback, but obviously he's got the skills. Jaden Daniels is cool as a cucumber. I'm concerned about his running. I think he runs a little too much. He looks like a bag of bones. But I just like you said it, Pete, his poise. And he's not afraid of the moment. I will say this: I didn't think Tampa or Washington is going to be around the week after next. They're just fodder. This is more like great experience for next year when you can make a run. They're like going to be in the Patriots' position maybe 2 years from now, where the Patriots make the playoffs, where you maybe steal a win and you build. I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan. They've won a lot of close games at the end, which is a great sign to see. He's a rookie, and he throws the ball. So I don't mind guys running, but it's when the game's on the line, you got to throw the football. He throws the football, and that they're a team to watch. But I think this is going to be exactly like I thought. It's going to be Detroit, and it's going to be Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, and which I can't wait for next week. And I love Minnesota tonight. I think everyone's on the Rams, and
I'm not. I'm on Brian Flores because I think he's going to be the difference, and I think he's going to. Even though Stafford is great against the blitz, and we know that I was talking about this before you came on, Vikings like to blitz a lot, but I think Brian Flores is going to come up with some confusing moments for the Rams, who I don't think they've been playing great lately. But I didn't think Houston was playing great lately either until the other day.
I saw the Rams. They came here to Foxborough, and
Yeah.
they're decent. They're good, pretty good team. Good.
We didn't
coaching.
cover anybody that day.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the more embarrassing losses. It was absolutely pathetic.
It was Pakua in the first half,
Cup in the second half.
Yeah, it was awful. It was a typical horrific game for the Patriots.
Yeah.
I see Minnesota winning this game convincingly tonight, and but no one's beaten Detroit. And the AFC is fascinating. It really is. And I think Kansas City being off is going to hurt them. But I'm going with Buffalo over Baltimore, but I would not be surprised if Baltimore also ran the table. So that's more fascinating. NFC, in my opinion, was weak. It was weak to start. And we're going to see, a lot. I'm off the Philly bandwagon. Philly's mediocre. I think a decent team. I think their inner squad problems are coming out. And reading the book on the sidelines, that's pathetic. It really is. So
that is pathetic, and they need to address that. But I still think Philly, top to bottom, is the most talented team left in the playoffs. And I still think that, despite their deficiencies, and maybe Jalen Hurts was a little rusty because of what happened in concussion protocol, didn't practice till late last week. There's obviously no symmetry there between him and A.J. Brown. I thought there was when they came back. I thought this was settled, and maybe not. I don't know if the NFC is weak, Bill. I thought the Buccaneers were going to have a great shot to get to the NFC Championship. I mean, they played some of the best football of anybody down the stretch.
They're good. They're a good team.
They had a brain fart against Dallas, unfortunately, but I think the Lions are better, but they're still banged up as well. I think Washington's going to give them a game, much like Tampa Bay gave them a game last year. Look, I picked Detroit and Baltimore in the Super Bowl. Lastly, so we'll see. Baltimore beat Buffalo pretty good early in the season in Baltimore, but that means nothing. That means nothing. The Rams won 30-20 over Minnesota back in late October. That doesn't mean anything either. What I think is fascinating, switching over yesterday from the Bills, as soon as that got done over to Fox, I don't watch a lot of pregame shows, except on this weekend. Jimmy Johnson brought up an interesting thing. I don't know if you heard it, about Dallas and Pittsburgh. And now that the Steelers have lost 5 straight games to end the season, they've lost 6 straight playoff games. It's between Bill Cowher, before that, and oh my God, I'm having a brain cramp. Terry Bradshaw's coach back in the day. Who am I missing? Why am I having a brain cramp?
Legend.
Legend.
Go ahead. It'll hit me.
Anyway, but he proposed that the Dallas
Chuck Noll.
that the Cowboys and the Steelers make a deal swapping coaches. Pittsburgh trades Mike Tomlin to Dallas. Mike McCarthy goes to Pittsburgh. I thought that was an interesting premise. Now, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette said today anyway, that they don't think that he's not going anywhere. But interesting nevertheless, don't you think?
Well, the Tomlin talk, because Tomlin, this is 8 years. So, Pete, 8 years without a playoff win in Pittsburgh and 6 straight losses. And at what point do you? The worst part was they lost 5 in a row to end this year. They were 10-3. They look like a team, defensively even, that could make a run at the Super Bowl, make a run in the AFC, and then they got literally killed 4 out of those 5 games.
Absolutely.
So at what point? And you see, you see these little things prop up in Pittsburgh as well, where players talk too much. No control over his wide receiver. His wide receiver room has been a mess for 15 years, to be honest with you. And I do question that. I know it's sort of we do accept the diva mentality, but when you don't win in January, when you don't win in mid-January, I think changes got to be made. And Mike McCarthy, I don't really know if he was looked at as, quote unquote, a buffoon like about 8 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden he got Dallas back on track a little bit, but look, Mike McCarthy's in Dallas because no one else wants that job. No one else wants to work for that owner. That owner runs the team. He picks players. He has press conferences after the game and midweek. That's not normal. And no, so I wouldn't even, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm not entertaining that move. I'm entertaining a move if you think Aaron Glenn is your guy, Ben Johnson is your guy. I would entertain that move. Trading him away, if you can get anything from Mike Tomlin, absolutely. But, look, they keep guys around in Pittsburgh. They've been doing this for 50 years.
Yep.
And, Chuck Noll probably hung around 5 or 6 years longer than he should have.
Yep.
That's what they do.
Real quick, George Pickens asked about the growth in the Steelers offense.
George, you've been with this offense now for 3 years. Have you seen signs of growth, and how much more does this team still need to grow offensively?
Yeah, I've seen signs of growth for sure. From past, the first year I've been here, just way more growth for sure.
George, does that make you optimistic going forward?
Nah.
What are some of those signs you've seen, George?
So what?
What are some of the signs of the growth you've seen?
Just everybody. You know what I mean? O-line, running backs, receivers, defensively as well too.
What is it about wide receiver being the most ultimate diva in all of professional sports? It really is. What have you seen any growth there? 2-second ball. Nah.
Yeah, that's a problem. So, I mean, how can you keep that guy around or the coach? You can't. So someone has to go, in my opinion. It's probably not going to be Pickens, or maybe it will be Pickens. Knowing the Steelers, the way they do business, Mike Tomlin, maybe they both stay. And that's the way Pittsburgh's been doing business for several years, which is why they are where they are. I'm into competing for championships. And I'm into, again, Pete, I don't mind a 5-11 team that's showing progress, that's giving us light at the end of the tunnel. The Steelers are doing none of that.
Expectations will be better. It will be bigger for the Patriots. They're going to be expected to be in the 7-8 win category next year. I believe that.
They could win. Look, with coaching, they could win 9 games. They could. And they could go after that 7th spot. But it's the year after. It's 2 years from now. And build something. I just want to see building. And we haven't seen building around here for 3 or 4 years. And Bill Belichick, he was part of that. He was he was selecting the players. And they had some horrible drafts. And this year's draft, in my opinion, was the worst of the worst. Though, Joe Milton, we didn't really talk about Joe Milton. Listen, by firing Gerard Mayo an hour after the game, we never got to talk about Joe Milton. He looked damn good. And I'm not
surprising. Not surprised at all. And that's what are you supposed to do? Tell him not to. The thing is, the Bills did not want to win that game at all, especially in the second half. They did not want the Patriots getting the number 1 overall pick in the same division.
I agree.
And the Patriots would have done the same thing if they were in the Bills' position too.
Yes. Yeah, Bill Belichick, he was as vindictive as anyone against his opponents. Absolutely. What Buffalo did was right. The fact that the Patriots weren't on the same page and prepared for that game, Buffalo did it right. They brought in the 3rd-string quarterback. He handed off. He threw checkdowns. That's how you lose the game. That's how you get the 1st overall pick.
You play to lose the game.
That's you lose the game, and you add a 1st-round pick to everything. And that was another error. But we didn't really talk about that because Gerard Mayo was fired. I don't know if that was part of the Kraft's plan because that was going to be a dreadful 24 hours for the Patriots by winning that game. And we never got to talk about it.
Bill, thanks so much. If I were you, I'd leave now. If you're leaving from Andover, it should take you about 2.5 hours.
No. It's no traffic. It'll take me an hour.
No traffic? What are you talking about? There's always traffic.
No, there's no traffic after 10. From 10 to 2, I can do 128. Route 1, not 95. Route 128, I call it. And I will head. I'm going to head out here in a short while.
I got you. All right, I'll be watching. I can't wait. And thanks so much. And we'll talk again real soon. All the best. Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune.
Take care, Pete.
With me today. Yes, take care. Say hi to everybody for me.
I will.
All right. All right. And that is Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune joining us here. Let me do this. Wee. Woo. There you go. All right. A couple more things. We're going to end the show early because Angel's got some stuff he's got to do with the network, and he is not feeling well, but he's got to do some stuff with our server here and some other stuff. So I'm going to get out of here a little earlier today. Meanwhile, so the Patriots press conference will be coming up at noontime today, Eastern time. So we'll have some of that. Meanwhile, there is more a couple more things going on in the National Football League. On Get Up This Morning, I want to play a couple more cuts on Get Up This Morning. Rookie rules don't seem to apply to Jaden Daniels. He is absolutely unbelievable, Teddy Bruschi says.
The rookie rules don't apply. They don't apply to this guy. I've never seen something like this. 13 years as a player, 16 years as an analyst here. This is the best rookie quarterback I've seen. I mean, Roethlisberger was pretty good too when he started, but this guy just has more. I mean, you could see the plan that Tampa had and how they were trying to execute it in setting edges. Todd Bowles talked about it after the game, but he just beat him. I think Kalijah Kancey's a pretty good player, and he made him look average in terms of just a little stiff arm, just a little out the gate, and then it's 3rd and 1. And then Quinn, the pressure he continues to put on him on 4th down in this game. 3 for 5, all right, resulting in 14 points. They were 82% on the season on 4th down. This may be the best 4th down team ever in terms of those drives have resulted in 129 points this season with a rookie. Take the word rookie out. This guy's special.
When you consider the rookies that have gone into the playoffs and won games, Rex, you had Mark Sanchez who did it. Teddy, you just mentioned Ben Roethlisberger. When you think about those teams, you think about the defenses first and foremost, right? Those Steelers were built on defense. Those Jet teams were built on defense and a great running game led by a pretty good right tackle by the name of D. Wood. This team is built completely around Jaden Daniels. He has put this team on his back in a way that no rookie has done in recent memory.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is quite honestly a below average offensive line, okay? It's probably a below average defense, all right? And maybe average running backs, whatever. Well, guess what? They don't play that way. This dude has elevated the play of every single player on that roster and probably every coach on that roster. That's when you know you got something special. Hey, NFL fans, pencil this team in for the next 10 years in the playoffs. This guy is that special.
All right, and again, Daniels yesterday, 24-35, 268 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing with 36 yards with a long of 25, by the way. But there's just something special about him. He's poised. Like, I think Drake May is special, too, and he's going to come up big, I think, when his time comes, hopefully next year, in some much bigger games. But you got to give your hats off to Jaden Daniels, what he did last night. And they got a little lucky, obviously, at the end with a field goal. Double Gonzalez, after he fixed his hair 5 times, came in and kicked the doink off the upright and ended the Buccaneers season at 23-20. But, and I think they will give the Lions a run for their money. I don't think that's going to be a given. I don't think any game is going to be given. The more you go into playoffs, the more I have seen time and time again. I think Detroit's already a big 8.5-point favorite. We'll see what happens. Let's see how the week goes. Practicing, injuries, and all that stuff. Who's banged up, who isn't. But the schedule is out for next week. Tonight, obviously, I like Minnesota tonight. I think they win by a touchdown. I think Brian Flores on defense is going to be a difference. And I never thought I would ever say this 5 or 6 years, but I believe in Sam Darnold will be able to come out of it, shake it off after what happened last week. I think Kevin O'Connell is an excellent coach, one of the best in the NFL, and I do think that the Minnesota Vikings will find a way to win tonight against the LA Rams by a touchdown. I'm not a fan of how the Rams are playing, but certainly Stafford's got enough experience, and the Vikings do blitz a lot. You may have to tone that down a bit or disguise them a little bit better because Stafford is excellent against the blitz, but we shall see. So whoever wins this game tonight will take on the Philadelphia Eagles on the road at the Link. That will be on Fox at 3 o'clock on Sunday. The game after that on Sunday on CBS will be Baltimore and Buffalo, which looks like an incredible game. On Saturday at 4:30 on ABC, it's Houston at Kansas City. At 8 o'clock on Fox on Saturday, it's Washington at Detroit. So that is actually going to do it for me. Angel Martinez will hopefully be back tomorrow. We've got to do some stuff on our server, and we got other shows coming up today as well. The Drive with Q a little bit later on this afternoon. Then Bees World with Jay Flannelly. We'll have him on as well. I think Talking Hoops is on tonight also. So check out, go to SR 102.9 The Game and SR1029thegame.com for all your scheduling needs. Thanks to Bill Burrett. I am Pete. Vrabel press conference coming up at noon. Highlights tomorrow on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network. See ya.